Virgin Radio 104.4, Carlos Rodriguez. Welcome to the Maz Hakim Podcast.
Thank you very much for inviting me and my brother, who is always with me, even though he might not speak. He's always with me everywhere I go.
Yeah, welcome to both of you. So, Carlos, you've built a $500 million gaming empire, and they call you the king of gaming. Can you tell me a little bit about how you started in the gaming industry?
You know, how you start is the same as how you start every other business or in any other industry. You know, you have to first jump into the pool without really knowing how to swim. Mm-hmm. And in my case, I not only put all my time into it, but also all my money into it. So it was a big bet that I was fortunate enough to learn enough lessons fast enough so that I could at some point start making money instead of losing it.
Yes. And how did your gaming experience begin? Because you started when you were really young.
Yeah, so I'm 32 now, about to be 33 actually. And I started when I was 15 years old in the world of video games. Mm-hmm. I started right now everybody thinks about video games as something nice, mainstream, you know, all the basketball players play video games and blah, blah, blah. But back then, like 17 years ago, it wasn't like this. Mm-hmm. Nobody was talking this nicely and openly about video games. But I saw an opportunity to actually make some money by playing competitively in video games. And as a very competitive person, you know, I played soccer for Atletico de Madrid when I was younger. I played paddle professionally. I did swimming. I did judo. Everything I could compete in, I was competing in all my life. And this was the easiest way and most accessible way to compete against other people with 2 clicks. And then I'm competing against somebody from Germany, for example, from Spain. And doing that and being able to earn money doing that, it gave me a lot of motivation to start working on myself and how to improve and how to get better, which thankfully I ended up doing.
And how did your parents feel at the time when you were spending a lot of time playing video games?
Yeah, it's, you know, even when you take them back right now, it's like unbelievable because, of course, they did a 180, complete 180.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, I had a lot of fights with my parents. You know, they would make sure they cut my internet cable, and you know, it would get bad. But eventually, I started bringing money home, and you know, just literally just bringing all the money I had into home. You know, and at some point, that money that I was bringing was more than the money my parents earned together.
Wow.
So at some point, as a parent, you just have to say, okay, maybe there is something here, you know. Maybe my son is not completely full of crap. And you know, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I knew that whatever I would do, I would figure out a way to make myself successful.
Yeah. I remember when we got a PlayStation and I would rush home after school to play PlayStation and I'd spend all my time. My mum literally cut the cord of the PlayStation.
I completely, you know, and you know, at a different time, maybe I would agree with doing that.
But what was the most challenging part of transitioning from a player to an entrepreneur?
Well, you know, a lot of times I get to look back into my career, into my life, and try to understand what kind of lessons I learned with what kind of situations and jobs and, you know, career paths. And I will say that whatever it is you're doing, even if it's playing video games professionally, there's a lot of skills and traits that you learn if you're thriving or striving to be the number one, you know? At anything, really. And so what I noticed is that by me trying to be the best player in the world in a game that is played by 100 million people, I had to go through intense training. I had to ask myself a lot of questions. I had to be both humble and ask and question every move, but at the same time confident, knowing that I could be or I am the number one. And those two combined makes up for a pretty good competitor. I think that any sport you look at or any doesn't even have to be sport. It can be business. Any business you look at, the very best people at that vertical, at that competition, level of competition, they will be both humble and confident, almost at equal levels. You cannot be too humble and too lack confidence, because then you will not believe you can be the number one, and then you will not do the things that get you to become number one. And you cannot be too overconfident with no humility, because then you will believe you're always right and you will not ask yourself the questions that push you forward. So I would say just playing video games in general gave me that balance of humility and confidence, which I, of course, continue to deploy into every business I do with my brother, every conversation I have with people, and I try to be more of a balanced person in that regard.
Do you think that humbleness comes from your family background? Because you mentioned earlier, I mean, your business is worth over 500 million now, but you came from humble beginnings.
I'm sure it has something to do with it. My parents are amazing people, and my mother is the most lovely person in the world. It doesn't matter what I would do; she would always love me. She would give me everything. And my dad is the tough love. My dad was always very traditional, and he made me a man, actually. And I remember at some point he was battling cancer, and he kept 3 jobs behind the government's back so that he could continue, taking care of the house. It was really crazy, and I saw that with my own eyes. And my dad is a big man, and he's still alive, alhamdulillah. And so, I'm sure that a big portion of the humility portion of my life comes from the upbringing, my parents, the fact that I didn't grow up with a lot, the fact that for the longest time, every day I would eat a 50-cent lasagna. That was my thing. There's a place called Carrefour, okay? And in Carrefour, they had this 50-cent lasagna. They still have them. It's just like €2 now, or 2.50, okay?
Inflation.
Yeah, exactly. But they're there, and I'm sure if you try that lasagna, you will be like, oh, this is disgusting. But for me, that lasagna is the best lasagna that exists, because I ate like hundreds of them, And to go from there to now, I go with my brother to any restaurant in the world. We don't even look at the price of things. We just say, we want this, we want that. We want a car, we buy it.
Yeah.
We want a place, we buy it. We want anything we want, we buy it. And that combination, that contrast, it's just so unbelievable. I have goosebumps right now because right now I feel very good, but I feel even better knowing that I came from where I came. My brother, same story, also very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And that's why, actually, maybe it's not really well connected, but I like to say it. I have a son, and I will, inshallah, have many more sons, and daughters, of course. But my sons, I want to give them the opportunity to grow up the same way I grew up, with nothing. Like the fact that I grew up with not much forced me to become the man I am today.
Yeah.
And to build myself up the way I build myself up. I don't want to take that away from my sons, because that contrast I just told you about is exactly the reason why I feel so rewarded in life, at a deep level.
Robin Sharma has a quote where he says, adversity builds mastery. And Rumi has a quote as well that says, you have to keep breaking your heart until it opens. So you have to go through that adversity to really sort of build you as a person. Yeah,
that is so beautiful. And it not only applies to business, but in everything, even love life. You have to go through that one person. You have to go through that one person that breaks your heart, and you have to go through that one person that teaches you about yourself as well. Yeah, and I think it's beautiful as well. Again, if every day of your life is sunny, sun is out, then at some point you stop enjoying the sun like the first time you enjoyed it.
You don't appreciate it.
Exactly. So every now and then having some rain, some snow, every now and then having some thunder, some floods even sometimes, makes you appreciate the sunny day much more.
You've had such a colorful journey from player to team owner. Can you share an instance in your life when your past as a player really helped you make a crucial decision?
Yeah, so when I was a player, these are team games typically, right? Not single-player games. So as team games, not only do you have to be good at competing yourself, but you have to be good at leading people. So you develop very important leadership skills. You develop also the ability to become pragmatic and put aside your emotions. Sometimes it's sometimes hard, but you have to let people go. Some people, even if they have a kind heart, you have to let them go because they might be slowing you down. And especially when you're trying to compete. In competition, there is no, how do I say it? There's no sympathy. There's only who wins and who loses, you know? And if you want to succeed unapologetically, then you have to take those hard decisions of letting people go. So I think that's one of the main things I've learned, which now translated into The Circle, which is one of me and my brother's companies. This is our life project, actually. We have been able to learn how to build a very small and valuable circle of people with kind heart, and also very capable. It's not enough to have kind heart. You also must be capable in some capacity or add value to the circle in some capacity, you know. And that's something I've learned, I think, as a player, that I could then, you know, translate into my businesses. The company is as good as the people hired. I always say I would rather have a bad decision made by me that is followed by everyone, especially if they are capable, than a very good decision made by me followed by half the people, and they're half capable.
Yeah,
you know.
right.
So that's just the ABC of business for me. That's how I understand business, and that's how I've seen them succeed and fail and move forward and not move forward.
So you're very competitive.
Yeah, if you could describe yourself in maybe a couple of words, I'd be a very ambitious, kind-hearted man. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm kind-hearted. I like to think.
So as the head of G2 Esports, you've built a lot of teams. What's your philosophy or strategy behind, I guess, a winning team?
Yeah, so G2 Esports, which is this company you mentioned before, worth roughly $500 million. But with private companies, you never know how much things are worth. Maybe more, maybe less. You never know. But that is a good estimate, yeah? Is a video games organization, and what we do is we compete in many different games, and you know, we are half a sports team, half Disney, you know, like a media company where we create cinematics and scripted content, and we distribute it. But yeah, just to answer your question, these teams that we put together must win. Of course, we have a brand that people love, and we are a very funny brand. You know, that's how we're known for. But of course, we must win as well. And what you have to learn when putting teams together is the same exact skill set that you have to learn when hiring people for your company, which is you need to understand some people are born leaders. Some people are born followers. Some people execute the task really well that you give them. Some people, if you don't give them task, they are not able to figure out themselves what they're good for. Some people are nurturers. You know, some people are supporters. Some people feel good making others feel good. Some people feel good succeeding themselves. And you have to be very good at judging people's characters very quick, so that you don't have to have, 3-hour interviews in the first few minutes to know what character everybody has. And it's also not for business. It's also good for life, just to read people.
Yeah.
And there's no good, there is no bad. The same way there is no, just because a soldier ant is not better than a worker ant. It's just, they just have their own roles, You just have to be very good, become very good at reading people's strengths and weaknesses very fast.
And that comes from life experience too, I guess.
Yeah, it comes from hiring the wrong people and seeing the debacle in front of you.
So you are known for your vibrant personality and at one point your signature scarves, which you wore to, a lot of games. How important do you think branding is in life and in organizations?
The most important thing as an individual, is to, on one hand, you have to be known for your merit. In other words, for your skills, for your capability, for your body of work, yes. On the other hand, you need something that allows people, you give people a shortcut to remember you. It's almost, that's what it is, branding. You give them a shortcut to remember you.
I like that.
But if you see on the street, every car is white, then even if you find a Lamborghini Aventador SVJ that happens to also be white, it will not be as shocking to you than if you see a green Lamborghini in a city full of white cars. So in a way, branding should be understood as a shortcut for people
Yeah.
to remember you. And in my case, I was scarves, you know. Sometimes I was playing these tournaments in very hot venues, and I was still wearing the scarf. People were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Why do you want me to tell you? Yeah, this is work too. You know, it's not just for me to win. It's also for me to be remembered." And people knew me as the scarves guy. Eventually, I ended up wearing the most ridiculous scarves, like pink, baby blue, blah, like the most feminine, non-masculine scarves, because I knew I wanted to get people to talk about it, you know.
Yeah.
And people knew me as the scarf guy eventually. So I think that branding is crucial. It's like your CV. Literally, it's better than your CV. It's the way you dress, it's the way you speak, it is the way you smell, the way your hair looks. If your hair is blue, even if you're not identifying with certain ways, people automatically, put you in a box. You know, if you're dressed classy, even if you're not a classy person, people automatically put you in that box. So I think it's very important to know who you are, who you want to be portrayed as, and ultimately to think about the little shortcuts you want to give to people.
I like that. Shortcuts to make people remember you.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I never said that. This is the first time in my life I say
gold.
that. But it's actually quite nice. It's actually quite a nice sentence, yeah.
Absolutely. So looking back on your journey, what is one game that you wish you competed in? Because what kind of games did you get involved? Were they like strategy games?
Yeah, they were like
games?
team games that it was like required very good eye-hand coordination, but at the same time very fast, quick thinking, like strategic, fast, and tactical, fast, quick thinking. But ultimately, it's decisiveness. You know, a lot of decisiveness and good eye-hand coordination. I was always very good at sports and driving cars and on track and things like that. So my eye-hand coordination is very good. My reflexes are thankfully have always been very good. So any game that would apply those strengths of being decisive and being mechanically, that's how you call it, mechanically good at video games, I would be inclined to play. But there was no video game that I just that I could have played that I didn't play in. Just because if I wanted to play it, I would have played it. I was always a bit like this,
And be the best at it.
Yeah, I was always like this, in my head. So I was thinking the other day, what is it, something that you have not done yet that you would like to do? Okay, things that, of course, you can say I want to have 20, 30 children, but that's not something you can execute on right
Genghis
now,
Khan.
you can okay, let's get ready. You cannot execute on that right now. You have to be the right people, the right person, the right, you know what I mean? But there's nothing that I could just go with my brother right now, take a flight somewhere. There's nothing I have not done that I would like to do. And that also applies to career paths and career moves. Really, I am doing what I feel like my soul, my spirit wants me to do. And I have the spirit of a conqueror. I want to conquer the world, and I want to do whatever creates the most amount of output. Because eventually I will be too old. Maybe my ambition will wind down when I'm 59. I don't know. But now I'm 32. I feel powerful. I feel healthier than ever. I feel fitter than ever. And I want to use that. So I want to just deploy as much energy as possible to conquering the world.
So you learned how to make money from your passion. And as we say, your ekagi. In Japan, they say your purpose, your passion. What's your advice to people on how they can live their purpose and make money from something they love?
I mean, I could tell people 1,000 things on why is it a good idea to find out what you're ultimately good at doing, which tends to be what you like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Just because you are more creative when doing it, just because your potential is higher, straight up. But ultimately, what I like to think about is tomorrow, inshallah not, a Pegasus track might just explode my head. Okay, sorry for being so graphical.
So dramatic. Oh my God.
But it's true. It's how I think about it.
Yeah.
And I want to be I want to live a life that, if that happens, at least I know that I've done the best I could with the time I was given by God. So I try to live my life on those terms, and sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do, and that's part of also being a disciplined, in my case, man.
Yeah.
It's part of my life. I have to be disciplined. I have to do things I don't like doing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of life path, if you have a life path that is not fulfilling your inner spirit, it's going to eat you alive slowly, which is the worst kind of death. Slowly, wake up, not motivated, and you multiply that for 10 years and you're dead inside. I will never be that person, and I wouldn't want anybody to live that life and be that person, because then you become resentful, you become whiny, you go on social media and whine about everything that's
Be
not
a Karen.
Yeah, you start blaming the whole world instead of yourself for your inability to succeed or do what you had in mind. It's frustrating. So what's the worst that can happen? That you fail? Well, I mean, you can always go back into a normal job or normal career path, whatever normal means, yeah?
So your advice is just take the leap if someone is unhappy in their life.
It's take the leap, 100%, but at the same time, you have to do inner work, whether it's through praying, through meditating. I meditate since I'm 17 years old.
Wow.
So that's 15 years of meditation, almost daily, yeah? So I understand my body and my mind quite well. I'd like to think so.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that I understand what my calling is. When I tell you I'm a conqueror at heart, it's because I figured out I'm a conqueror at heart by trying many things and by speaking with myself, asking myself, what am I? What do I want to accomplish? If you put me in a hospital taking care of people, I wouldn't have the inner peace and the happiness that I have right now, even though it's a very beautiful thing to do. It just wouldn't fulfill me, So I would say, before taking the leap, just figure out who you are. And the best way to do that is by spending time with yourself and trying out things in life, You have to try out. You don't know what you don't like until you don't like it.
It's true. And what does a typical day look like now? I mean, your business is worth over $500,000. You're 32, living the dream. What does a typical day look like for you? $500 million, yes. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. For me, it's like $500,000 is like same thing. But what does the typical day look like now?
Well, thankfully, money is not any longer the reason I wake up every morning. Although it's a very good reason why not. Yeah. Because to live life to the fullest and experience everything Earth has to offer, you need money. But now I'm intrinsically motivated by impact, by the impact my actions have in the world, right?
Yeah.
So every time I go to bed, I'm thinking about the things that I like I'm doing, the things that I should be improving on, and the things I'm grateful for, actually. And then I plan in my head how the next day looks like. People tend to plan too much and do too little. I have learned the power of doing more and planning a bit less. So many times I will maybe launch something that is not that appealing on day one, but I will carry on improving it, getting people's feedback and improving it 1% every day. And eventually that will be just like one of these companies that I built, which is now worth $500 million, right? With marginal improvements daily, which compound eventually to becoming the best in the industry. So I'd say that my nights are typically, for thinking and planning, and then I wake up. First thing I do is go to the gym with my brother, and either we go to the gym or we do something that requires some physical activity. We also like to play paddle here in Dubai, which for me as a Spanish guy, I grew up playing paddle. This is crazy,
Yeah.
I never expected paddle to be a game that I end up playing later in my life.
Yeah.
You see how life works. So sometimes we play paddle as well as good for business. A lot of good business people play paddle as well. But during the day, we have a lot of meetings. We have lunch with people. We have meetings with people. We have dinners with people. We have gatherings with people. Many times we have yacht party with people. Just the life, like this. And sometimes we have days where we need to be operationally very active. So then we spend time at the office with the team, and we work on whatever needs to be worked on. We create whatever content needs to be created for the specific companies. We have weekly meetings, whatever, daily, bi-daily, whatever. The usual. The usual. So yeah, our days are filled with work. And actually, I like to think everything we're doing, literally everything we're doing is work. Like everything. Even when we go to rest into a beach club by ourselves with David, our assistant, we just go there to not talk, just to gather, to digest what happened in the week, perhaps, and to think about next week. Everything we do is literally work. Everything.
So you mentioned you're quite spiritual, you meditate. Do you think you manifested your life?
100% yes. And people, I know what people think. Most people think about this, but I don't care. From early on in my life, I understood that whatever I wanted, I would be able to accomplish. I would figure out a way to accomplish it. And the main reason for that is because my mind was always very pure with my intentions, and because I saw what happened when I started thinking about things. So sometimes I would be thinking about specific thing, maybe a car, something like that, and then all of a sudden I would see the car, and then I would see maybe an ad, maybe something like this.
Yeah.
And I started asking myself this question, and then I started reading books, and although it's a bit too esoteric, and unless you experience it yourself, it's hard to it's hard to imagine it's possible. But I have 0% doubt in my head. Number one, that God exists, because through meditation, once you meditate enough, you understand intrinsically with 0% doubt that God exists. And secondly, that everything before it comes to the physical realm comes through consciousness and through your mind, And so yes, I will not tell you I don't think about what I want. And every single time I have thought about what I wanted on a long enough time frame, it came to me. And I just acted on that opportunity. And if I was ready, mentally and physically, for that opportunity, I would get what I wanted every time.
So
and if I wasn't, then I would just try again, and I would eventually get it.
So you believe in the law of attraction?
Yeah, I don't know if you call it like that, but I don't know how it's called. I don't know how to call it. But I believe that before something comes to your reality, you bring it through your mind first, and through your subconscious mind even, yeah? So it's not like I spend hours of my life doing that or anything like that, but I live my life as if I accomplish many of the things I don't physically have with me. If I want to be the number one tennis player in the world, I will walk the world. I will walk Mother Earth knowing I am the number one player in the world. Because then I will do things that the number one player in the world would do. So, for example, if you want to lose weight, right? You can't just say, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get into it. No, you have to act as if you're already thin and to keep yourself thin. How is that person eating? How is the best version of yourself eating, right? And in my case, I think a lot about this. How is the Carlos that never loses his cool acting in this situation? And then I act like him.
Yeah.
I know he exists because the best version of Carlos is there. So I just act like that guy. I try to act like that guy all the time. I'm not perfect.
Have you seen Doctor Strange, the Marvel?
Yeah. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
I mean, it was interesting because it's all about you existing in a different dimension, the person that you want to be, but living kind of in a different dimension.
Yeah, it could be that. I don't know exactly the quantum mechanics behind all of this. I don't know exactly the science behind all of this. What I know is that I keep doing it because it keeps working for me.
Yeah.
So, now we have a lot of my focus is right now on a company called Shiba Saga, actually. You also do happen to know my co-founder.
Yeah.
Our co-founder. And Shiba Saga, which is where my mind is headed at the moment, is taking a lot of my mind space, maybe just for the sake of it, shibasaga.com. What we do is we reimagine already existing amazing games. And under the Shiba thematic, people will love many of these games, actually. All of us have played them and continue to play them on the phone. So I'm sure people, if they follow the project, they will be interested in continue to hear about it. But this is where my mind is these days. And I am visualizing how Shiba Saga, in this case, is going to play out. Yeah. And the chances are it will play out like I envision it in my mind.
So you visualize a lot.
Yeah. But in my day-to-day, it's not like I just sit down and do magic, like I have like some, special herbs or something. No, I just live my life with that, It's, when you meditate 10 minutes and then you live your life normally, as if you didn't meditate 10 minutes, then it does nothing for you, But if you live your life like this, you live your life as if you're the man or whatever it is, you're a very successful, happy woman, then if you truly live your life like this and consistently remind your mind, remind your brain that you are this person, eventually you are this person. You will do the things that get you there.
Absolutely. So a lot of young men aspire to follow in your footsteps. What are some key traits or habits that you believe men should cultivate for success?
Okay, this is a good question. I think men especially, I don't know how many men listeners you have, but I'm sure you have many. Men especially are going through a point in time where it's a bit complicated because on one end, you have the part of the world that believes, men shouldn't really act like men, and another part of the world that believes that men shouldn't have any traits that are not directly super masculine, And my life has taught me, and my experience has taught me that that you can be and should be a very respected man that knows what he wants. It's very important to know where you draw your lines and what type of man you are. But it's very important as well to understand that each person is different, Like my brother, for example, who's sitting here by my side, he's much more militant. He's much more, I don't want to say serious about things, but, his approach is more serious. I love to make more jokes. I love to sing. I love to dance. I'm Spanish, I mean, I have that in me,
Yeah.
And not for that reason, he's more of a man than I am, We're both strong men for very different reasons because when we have to be serious, we are serious. When we have to be funny, we're funny. When we have to, do silly things, we do silly things. So I think that's number one for men, to understand that there's no right or wrong. It's just who you are.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the next point, which is also translated into figuring out who you are. Are you the kind of person that is very good at executing orders? Because everybody right now wants to be Elon Musk. But Elon Musk is Elon. I cannot be Elon Musk, okay? I really cannot be Elon Musk even if I wanted to. He's too product-driven. He's too knowledgeable because he has curiosity around the science of things. I don't. I'm a different person. I love to entertain. I see myself almost like a gladiator in an arena,
Yeah.
Where I might win or lose, but I want people to keep me alive, because I'm entertaining. And I also like, I also feel like I'm a conqueror at heart, like a commander of troops of some kind, right? But not everybody's like that,
Yeah.
Some people just enjoy receiving an order and executing it to perfection. So figuring out who you are and not just going by the dreams of people you hear about or idols. First of all, you should only idolize God, if anybody. You shouldn't idolize me. You shouldn't idolize anybody. You can in a way learn things from people, but never look up to them. Just look at them eye to eye and say, what can I learn from this person, from this human that once upon a time was very likely in my position, eating 50-cent lasagnas.
Yeah. It comes down to that. So if a young man is listening and they want to get into gaming, esports, streaming, YouTube, business, what is your advice to them?
It doesn't matter how many things you study. It doesn't matter how much you study. It doesn't matter how long you spend in the university reading books. You have to start. Just do it. Because it's just so cheesy to say just do it, because this is the truth. Unless you get started, you will not learn the intricacies and the sensibilities of the specific business you're trying to launch. Maybe you're trying to launch an e-commerce platform, right? Or you're trying to launch product, for example, right? You have to see, okay, if it's candles, what type of candles do people like? People like scented candles. Then you have to understand, okay, maybe you spend some money on strawberry scent, but the strawberry scent happens to not be liked by people. Now is the time for melon scent. And then you have to learn these things, and only when you go deep into the weeds of a specific business, you will only learn the sensibilities of each business. You cannot read it in any book. Only when you hire the wrong person, you will know who's the wrong person for your business. There might be very capable people. I've hired capable people that were CEOs of multinational companies for 15 plus years. I've hired them to be my right hand as COOs. and it didn't work out. I had to let them go because it didn't work out. Maybe it would have worked out for a bank, for an insurance company, maybe, but not for my company. That's okay. You need to know what works, what doesn't, and you only do that by going through the hardship, trials and tribulations, good, bad decisions. Get started.
And when you were at G2 Esports, you mentioned earlier it was difficult for you to actually hire somebody else to replace you. Can you tell us a little bit about that and characteristics you look for in a team?
Yeah, so of course I've hired amazing people along the way, each of them with their own traits. I hired amazing saleswomen, actually. Some of my best salespeople were women. And ruthless, very ruthless. They were amazing at selling. Yeah, but if you put them in a creative position, it might not work. So you have the creative people in the creative position. And these people are creative, meaning they might not be too diligent. They might not be on time for meetings, perhaps, I'm often not on time. Yeah, that should give you some. and
you were sort of on time for this.
Yeah, you were late. It's the strengths and weaknesses of everybody, right? And for the role of the CEO of the company I was the CEO of, which is G2.
Yeah.
I founded that company and I was the CEO of that company. I felt like the body of work required to lead that company, combined with the skill set required to lead that company, was so unique that I could not find it anywhere. I couldn't hire anybody to do that job. And right now there's somebody called Alban. He's the CEO of the company. He's doing an amazing job. So there's one person I would have hired, and that is Alban. And he's hired. So there you go. It's very hard to replace yourself. And many of these companies don't have the luxury of finding the perfect fit. In fact, many of these companies have to, once the CEO takes a secondary role, because the CEO might want to have to do other things in life, the company takes a huge hit because it's just so complicated to directly replace as a founding CEO. And then the company changes direction. Maybe it becomes, something it shouldn't be, or it wasn't before. It loses some of its appeal. That's how it typically goes when the company becomes too large or the CEO just wants to do other things.
How important is it for young men to balance gaming with other aspects of their life, like education, health, relationships?
Yeah, same as it happens same for people that go to the gym 8 hours a day. Everything in excess, if it's a hobby and you're doing it in excess, it's going to be a problem. But if it's part of your job, if it's part of your livelihood, if it's part of your career, and you're doing it in excess, then it's going to ultimately benefit your career. So unless your job is playing video games professionally, you should very carefully play video games. The same way that unless your job is to somehow, I don't know who has that job, but sign me up, watch Netflix and you get paid for it, okay? Then you shouldn't just watch Netflix just for the sake of it at every hour of every day, What's the point? It's dead time. It's that you're slowly dying. Every second that passes, you're 1 second older, and that is not creating anything for you. If you want to relax for the purpose of being better at something else in life, sure, by all means, take your evening free, watch movies, shows, whatever. But then the day after, or whenever you're ready, batteries are recharged, then let's go. But many people, especially nowadays, get entertained far too much, and that depletes your what's the word? Actually, I know exactly what I'm talking about, but I don't know the word. David, help me out, brother.
Your passion.
No, it's a chemical that you Dopamine. Thank you very much. That depletes your dopamine levels, and eventually nothing gives you pleasure anymore. So I'd say anybody that's playing video games or watching Netflix or listening to music, whatever it is, for fun or to improve other aspects of their life, very consciously, then by all means. But if you're doing it too much as a hobby, it's going to eat you alive, and you're not going to find deep happiness in doing so.
What's next for Carlos? You've moved here to Dubai, living your best life. So you live here now?
Yeah, I live here with my brother. We do everything together, is the most unbelievable thing that happened to me, is to meet my brother and to see eye to eye with him in everything. So we live together, we do every business together, we train together, we go out together, we live life together, we change countries together, we fly together, we sail together, we do everything together. We go jet skis together, we break our face in the jet skis together. We do everything together. So whatever is next for us, I am happy is happening with my brother. But yeah, like I told you, we came here to conquer the world. Otherwise, you go to Seychelles or somewhere else to enjoy the money. But that's not what we're doing. Yeah, we're enjoying the money, but we're conquering the world from Dubai. That's what we're doing. So for that, join thecircle.ai website. I repeat, jointhecircle.ai. You can sign up, put your email in there and see what comes. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but this is our life project. Yeah. And shibasaga.com, like I said before, shibasaga.com is a Web3 project. If you like to play games on the phone, they're addictive, of course. We're always very careful, but they're great games. People are going to enjoy it, I'm sure. And we're working also on other stuff. We have a crypto fund we're putting together as well with absolute geniuses of crypto, that once we launch, I mean, we already have so much inbound interest, we can't even take care of all of it. But we are getting ourselves very busy. As you can see, we're very busy. And busy is good because we continue the conquest forward, which is what fills us in our soul.
How important do you think is it for men to have that masculine friendship? And I mean, you're very lucky to find a friendship so close like a brother. How important is it for men to have that masculine energy around them?
I think it's crucial. I think it's crucial. I think it's beautiful when you have a female partner that understands you and raises your spirit. And many of the things that you can accomplish as a man will be propulsed even more so with the right woman by your side, definitely. But there are things in life that you can only speak with your boys. There are things in life that are not things to be discussed with your woman. You even don't want to give her that headache. In my world, my woman is the happiest human on the planet and gets none of my headaches. I get all of it. Me and my brothers get all of it. So having a brother to share the headaches with, and, we give love to each other in a different way. We give love to each other through painful lessons and through loyalty. That's a good word. Yeah. Loyalty. At the end of the day, I think for a man, there's nothing more beautiful than having your brother by your side in perpetuity. And to build a family as well, right? I think those two things are imperative for every man. And like I said, some men like to conquer. Some men like to follow orders. Some men like peace. Some men like problems. But yeah, for us it's conquest. And me and my brother, we share that, and we share that with loyalty. And it doesn't matter what comes our way. It does not matter what comes our way. I have my brother. We lose everything. I don't care. I have my brother. We are happy. We were happy with less. We were happy with more. I was happy with the 50 cent lasagna, the same way he was happy, while being harassed by Germans growing up for being Syrian Palestinian. And he's happy now. That's how it is. That's the beauty of life.
Where can we follow you and your journey?
Very good. So Instagram at Ocelote World. If you type Carlos R, it should come up there as well. And that's on Instagram. And for my brother, at The Real Assad. Although as of today, it's a private profile. But it's more enigmatic this way. It's
more of a mystery.
More of a mystery this way. It's nice. But anyway, we reshare every story together, so not much of a mystery actually. And for Twitter at Carlos R. But thank you very much for everybody. Thanks to you for making the interview. It was very nice.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to have you on and hear your journey and your story, Carlos.
Thank you very much. And thanks to Dubai for embracing us with the most open arms. From the highest levels to the lowest levels of Dubai, we
Yes.
feel so embraced and happy to be here.